Thank you very much, Lance, and congratulations to this really wonderful group. I'm honored to be here in the role as introducer, and with a room full of people who have sort of formed the world that I get to work in and grow in every day. And I think that that's one of the things I'd love to be able to focus on in introducing Glenn, is that in my time knowing him, I have been able to grow a lot through our relationship as colleagues, as friends, as co-educators. And I am really grateful that that's been a continuing role that you have sort of invited and folded me into a part of. It is really an incredible panel of honorees, knowing that between Paul and the role of being a student and seeing issues of LDNA and be like, oh, like this is a real industry, and it's a real industry that produces not just like fluff pieces, but things that we learn about. I had the honor to be an intern at CBB, and Francesca, which is a great name, I learned so much about just being able to work and be dedicated and have poise. She grows beautiful flowers and she makes incredible spaces. And Anne, as has already been mentioned, has the most infectious smile, something that feels like you are being lit in the way that you feel held when you are with her. So I don't have something for everybody. I do want to say, then there's Glenn. Glenn, fortunately, has been, I would say it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. I have not been part of your full life, so I'm going to focus on the last 17 years or so. It's a person who has been, as I said, friend, mentor, colleague, educator. What I want to make sure comes across is that he has been dedicated to education and to making sure that others see themselves in their work. I first got to know him when I was a student here at Parsons, and he came as a guest reviewer. And we've had a really wonderful culture of very constructive and nurturing feedback when it comes to outside reviewers. But not everybody makes you feel seen in your work, and not everybody has the ability to see you through to the next step. And that's something, a skill that I was, as a first impression, something really beautiful. And I luckily have been able to then teach with him in the same classroom and see that over and over. But it's not a stagnant thing. You continue to grow and evolve both personally and as part of the community that you see around you. We have both had a strong interest in sort of who we design for. And Glenn has been committed to that in the community that he's worked for. His Signal Station North project, which has worked with community organizations in the Baltimore area, has been one of community engagement, has been one where he wants to know what others want to see there. As an educator here at Parsons, he took on the role of being part of the interdisciplinary track, where he's working not just with the students who are getting their MFA in lighting, but those who are also working in interiors and architecture. And he can see a thread through everything. Also, Glenn loves a line. He has his background in art. I mean, not just a background, he is also an artist, but he loves a line, whether it's drawn in light or shadow. And from that, I've learned how to think about spaces and installations with great intention and care. He knows when to hide something, when to reveal it, whether it is through the use of light itself or everything that comes around it, from making sure that a project is on budget so that it works for public housing, to making sure that, that I've gotten to know more about aquarium lighting through you than I would, other than going to some incredible programs where I've gotten to see that up front, but just from being able to hear you speak and share, you educate in every step of the way. Okay, I'm going to run out of time, and I just want to make sure that it's clear that Glenn came here to Parsons, but played that really delicate role of having both a firm in Baltimore and a life with a wonderful wife and daughter who are also here to honor him. as well as being an educator here. As an educator, he took on the role of director, and he's done two incredibly practical things among many. One is that he got the program designated as a STEM program, which extend our students' ability to stay here from 1 year to 3-year OPT. That might be a small thing, but as educators and in terms of our current climate, it means that we have the ability to maintain relationships and grow with the students that we bring into our firms. He also started the Parsons Lighting Partners program, which has allowed us during the pandemic to be able to get kits into countries all over the world so that we could all teach and work together. Those are practical things. They do not touch on how wonderful and warm and grateful I am for your shared work. 1 second. You know what? I'm just going to skip to the fact that luckily, if you are out of school and you're not one of Glenn's students, you will have the chance to be able to see Glenn's research as it is applied to a lot of the public programs that have happened here at the New School and at Parsons. One of them, which is the Pioneers of Lighting Design, which will be later here. And yes, I am plugging for that because I think there's been a lot that you have done beyond the scope of a typical lighting designer. For everything that you've done for Parsons, for Flux, for yourself, for your family, your friends, and your colleague, thank you. And I will step aside.
Okay, Francesca, I'm so humbled by your words, and I have so much respect for you as a designer, an educator, an activist, and a human. So thank you so much. So this award caused me to reflect, which is great because typically I just seek the next challenge, and I think many of us at the table here have operated in that way, and so I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've thought of as I've reflected. So in elementary school, I got in trouble a good bit. And it usually, not major trouble, but it reduced my playtime and recess. And so I thought I would share a couple of reasons why I got in trouble. The first was that I had a watch and I sat at the window and I would reflect the sunlight from the watch all over the room. And I thought it was the greatest thing. My teacher didn't think this was the greatest thing, but this did indicate my passion for light that has been there all along. And then there's another reason I got in trouble that I think indicated one of the reasons why I might have been recognized in this way. And it's that I talked in class a lot. So I've always had a genuine interest in learning from people and sharing with people and learning from others. So there's really no change. I still am incredibly passionate and joyful about light, and I still talk a lot. So with that in mind, I'm going to look at my time and figure this out. Okay. So I wanted to recognize a few specific things. In architecture school, I had the good fortune of being at a school that had a faculty member that led a day lighting lab. And that was really my introduction to light as a part of the architectural context. Dale Brentrip was the name of this faculty member, and he brought in Bill Lamb to give a presentation when I was a sophomore in architecture school, and I left that room saying I want to do that the rest of my life. So it's so important for us to get out and spread the word about what we do. You never know who's going to be in the audience and how it might determine and kind of help their path. The opportunity to design lighting that I had to really persevere to get to. There were a lot of opportunities to stay in architecture after I graduated, but I was really very focused on trying to figure out how I could work with light. And it was really a dream once I started to be able to be an architectural lighting designer. And I proceeded to dream about my architectural lighting design, which I still do. So some of us, that's how much how important it is to me. The accomplishments that have led me to be recognized today are all about collaboration. I can't say that I've done anything or accomplished anything without really working with an amazing group of people. And so I specifically wanted to recognize the Flux Studio team, the commitment and creativity to help to realize these projects, and specifically my business partner, Brian McIntyre, who's supported me in my teaching and in my light art projects and in the community engaged projects. And I don't take that for granted. It's something that not everyone would do. The Knuckles Fund was responsible for giving me a grant that really set me on the path of being an educator. And then later on, I received a grant to support my professional development as an educator. And I want to recognize all the great work the Knuckles Fund have done over the years. I had the great fortune of working with the Professional Lighting Designers Association and the IALD and the IES, and the trust to give me the platform to work in those settings. I really appreciate and want to recognize all the people that contribute their time to those shared efforts. At this point, I wanted to take a little pause and recognize our good friend Victor Palacio, who we lost recently. He embodied the IALD and the PLDA and our shared ethics, I think, as much as anyone that I came across. And we lost him recently, so I wanted to recognize him. So I was so fortunate to have the opportunity to teach at Parsons. And this environment is one where I've been able to really forge a different way of working as an academic that really recognized that practice informs my teaching and teaching informs my practice in a way that I think is so important for our community and our field at this point in our growth. I think we have to put really good work with light into the built context, into the world, to be able to increase the profile of our shared efforts. And so I look forward to a day when you can be an academic and not have that connection with a practitioner, academic and not have that sort of connection with practice. But I know it's not going to be in my lifetime, and I really appreciate that Parsons has really supported me in that dual professional identity. And of course, I want to recognize Craig Berniker and Derek Porter, who are my partners in the full-time faculty, and all the part-time faculty and my colleagues across the school. And of course, the students. I've been so privileged to learn from you. And it's what keeps us all going as educators is what we get back, not just what we give. So the new school, we were in the New School University Center. Parsons is a part of the new school. And for me, the new school has been really an important community to be in because of the commitment that the new school has to social justice. And this is something that through my life I've become more committed to, and especially during the pandemic and Black Lives Matter, I really recognize that I have a unique opportunity to have a platform, and that I need to take that seriously, and I need to really recognize the power that comes with that. So I certainly faced challenges in my career. We all did. And I recognized that there was a privilege in how I faced those challenges, and that even though I faced some challenges, that there was so much privilege that was in my world. So I think it's harder to realize when it's easy to remember when there's a breeze, when the wind is at your back. And it's harder to realize that things are easier for you when you have a headwind. So what I'm trying to say here is that in recognizing my privilege, what I've come to recognize is that there are certain things that have been easier for me that I'm not even aware that they're easier for me. I don't even see that there's a privilege in those experiences. And what we really need to do is recognize that it's not just when the wind's coming at your head that there's a wind. It's all the time, and that we all need to recognize and really try to appreciate that we don't all have the same challenges in how we accomplish things and how we achieve. So exposing the systems that make achievement harder is something that we need to do, and we need to continue to do, and we need to address these inequities. I specifically in that context want to recognize the amazing women in my life. My mom, my sister, my daughter Sylvie, my wife Marion, so many of the students and faculty that I teach with here, and the support and trust that they've given to me over the years, and celebrating the accomplishments, the patience to understand in my understanding of the biases and challenges that they face that I haven't faced is something that I think needs to be recognized, and I want to use this platform to do that. My wife Marion, my accomplishments are a direct path to when I've been with you and to the confidence and trust that you've put in me. You've enabled me to pursue this passion in light, and travel and be away from home a lot, but come home to a loving home. So thank you all for listening. I'm so grateful for this recognition. The Edison Report, Randy, it's amazing what you do to promote our community. Thank you.